What's going on, people? Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to United View, the lead up to the derby. Oh, my days, man. It's going to be a massive, massive weekend. Everyone's laughing at us. Everyone's expecting us to lose. A lot of us are expecting to lose. But it's a massive game nonetheless. Hopefully one that we can get on the right side of the result. More news to talk about. Things on Sir Jim Ratcliffe. News coming out yesterday. Is he going to walk away? He needs full control. He wants full control. If he doesn't get it, that may change his mind. Stuff about Richard Arnold as well, potentially leaving. We are going to talk about the Garnacho situation with Onana, because I think that was quite silly in some respects. But I do think it's important to talk about it, because even though some things are fairly obvious, it's still important to talk about things like that. Wan-Bissaka, back in possibly 10 days as well. We definitely need him back. We need reinforcements back. We need to bolster the squad. So much to get into, man. Owen, it's been a massive week, and we're coming to the end of it now, where this is the game where underdogs, less favorites to win at the bookies. If we lose, it's like, well, why are you going to troll us? Of course, we should lose to Man City. They're better than us. All of this stuff. Or, get a big win and you feel a little bit better about yourself. And all this stuff about Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And all this stuff about Richard Arnold. The fallout of the Sancho stuff as well. Some people were Some people yesterday, that's what I was going to say.
Go on.
Were absolutely disgraced. That they were like, this is a disgrace that Sancho's been treated like this.
Because of the lunchbox
Eric
thing,
Ten Hag's ego. And that's what I mean. When you read it, I was like, it seems very, very damning. Like, come on, it doesn't have to be that serious. But then when we broke it down, it was like, you do have to be completely removed if you're removing somebody from, you can't partially do it. So there was all of that stuff. We've got a lot to talk about this morning, man. We've got a lot to talk about this morning.
Yeah, we do. I mean, you're right. It's funny, actually, you mentioned that about the Sancho thing yesterday, because I, like you, saw some of the reaction to it. And I went, like, I get it. Like, I understand people, but people were shockingly taking it too far. This is unbelievable. This is, he's in prison. I tell you what, as incarcerations go, it's not bad. You know what I mean? In terms of the wage and also, the facilities and all that kind of stuff. Like we said yesterday, it's just a bad situation. But when you think about it logically, you can't have him around the first team because the managers around the first team and what they're not on speaking terms. And they're like, he has to be locked in the changing room. But as they point out, that's for safeguarding reasons, because some of the players he's training with in the academy or hanging around with, they're minors. So, there's literally laws in place about stuff that he has to do. So it's just a very awkward situation. And as far as the game, I don't know. Have you been a bit surprised by maybe the sort of, I'd say, lack of build, but it's a bit... It's not as an intense build-up as there has been maybe in the past, you know what I mean? Maybe because of the Champions League, maybe because there's this kind of maybe it's just because every day's chaos at United, so just a bit of normality in terms of there's a game, everyone goes, it's a bit fun.
Yeah, it's that, and a lot of people are expecting us to win, and we've been playing poorly, and probably even the media and definitely rival fans, and everyone sees it as a formality. And I get why. I do get why. If I was a rival fan looking in, I would say there's no chance that team beats that team. Just as a no bias thing. Look at that team in red and look at that team in blue. Who do you think is going to win? Oh yeah, team in red's crap, mate. I've watched them. They're not good. So that's how it goes. That's what it is. So it's I get it, and it's our job as fans. I'll say that. I can't tell people what to do. My personal opinion is have to have some belief. They're not immortal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you have to have some belief, or we pack up and go home. I may as well not drive up the M6 and go to Old Trafford on Sunday.
What I won't take is opposition fans telling me how bad United are when they don't watch Man United every week, and they're telling me all of the problems at Man United, structurally and on the pitch, like they know more than us. And it's coming from fans which their own team are rubbish. Chelsea fans are the worst with it. They go, Man United terrible this season. We're still above you. Like, what does that say about you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Spurs fans, don't get me wrong. Spurs fans, incredible start. They're top of the league. If we were in a similar situation, we'd be going crazy right about now. But also, let's not. They like to. This is what's crazy about opposition fans too. They get online and they go, "Getting your Norwich scarves out again. Where's Levy out? Where's God sell the whole club? Where's we're not going to go to matches anymore? Now the top of the league. Where they're singing Robbie Williams songs about Ange Postecoglou. Disgrace, cheats.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. So Jim Ratcliffe, anyway, what's the takeover? Just you could see my reaction here. It's like we had that situation when I was away a couple of weeks ago. Now it feels like ages ago. But when was that? Last week?
The walking away thing.
Yeah, when was that? Last week? That was 10 days ago.
Weeks ago.
Yeah, just short of. But yes, with the whole thing with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, emerging as front runner, and Sheikh Jassim gone, etc., etc. And now the latest news on Sir Jim Ratcliffe is what?
Well, I think it's kind of more speculation that must be stressed when it comes to this. But the Independent are saying that Sir Jim Ratcliffe could abandon his pursuit of Manchester United if the Glazers refuse to guarantee him a route to a full takeover. The reason the Manchester United board haven't met yet to ratify Ratcliffe's bid is because of his demand for a guaranteed route to a full takeover. Now, these are the questions that, I'm not just saying myself, but I think a lot of people were pointing out when we were going into this, like Thursday, whenever it was last week, of there's going to be a vote, it's going to be done, they're going to have sporting control, this, that, and the other. And the natural reaction to, I think, a lot of it was questions like, how's that going to work? Like, what have you got written down? What's going to be written down in black and white? I think a lot of people were willing to take a lot of things at face value. Ineos, they're going to have sporting control. Okay. What does that look like? There's a football committee. Okay, what does that look like? Why it's got Jim Ratcliffe, Sir Dave Brailsford, and Joel Glazer. So they're definitely going to be in control. And you go, okay, like, and says who? How again? How's that going to work? You've got the majority shareholder still there. I know technically, if this were to go through, Sir Jim Ratcliffe would be the largest single majority shareholder, but the Glazer family would still have the majority of the shares. So any type of vote that goes to ratify this, they can still put what they want into this in terms of veto powers and final decisions and that kind of stuff. And then you go into, okay, the people that are really pro this 25% acquisition, which I'm not necessarily saying I'm not. My whole thing has been from the start is, what does the roadmap look like? Is there a roadmap to a full takeover? Because I think most people could say, at the very least, even if you were massively, I wanted Sheikh Jassim and I wanted the Qatar bid, I wanted all that kind of stuff. If you said to those people, but, Jim Ratcliffe's won this race, but there's this roadmap. By this date or by this point, the Glazers could be gone. That's light at the end of the tunnel, isn't it? That's hope. Realistically, that's hope. But as everyone said over and over and over and over again, you're naive if you really think the Glazers are just going to, no problem. Yeah, I'll give you control.
Just give away the power.
I'll give you sport and control. A full takeover. Yeah, we'll put those things in there and you can have that. For this price, for an agreed price now, there's a story this morning in The Athletic from Adam Crafton talking about the meetings that they had with the potential bidders at Old Trafford and Carrington earlier this year. And they were, the people from Man United presenting to these bidders were saying that by 2026 or something like that. I'll check in a second again. They were saying that United are sort of projecting they could have like £1 billion in revenue by this point. And both of the bidders took a step back and went, seems pretty lofty, that number. Like where are you getting from? And it's assuming a lot of success on the pitch as well. But if that's what they're projecting, and if that's what the Glazers think Manchester United could make in a couple of years' time, then again, if you've got this roadmap to a full takeover, you would say, okay, so what price are they going to be willing to sell their shares for at this point? They wanted over £6 billion for just their shares at the moment. So are we saying in 2 or 3 years they might want double that, or at least maybe 10 billion or something like that? So again, what does that look like on paper? Those questions, like, I think need to be answered and need to at least be sort of thrashed out. So my concern now is that you've got the situation where you're going to get another stalemate, where Ratcliffe wants the roadmap to the full takeover and sport control, which
Another
he should.
year.
Which he should, and he should want those things. And it's important he gets that thrashed out. You wouldn't want to just be like blindly, I took them on their words. I took them on their word. But at the same time, as you go through this whole process more and more, you realize Glazers didn't really want to give up that much control anyway. And then what do we get?
Wanted minority investment.
Stalemate.
Yeah, the problem is that we've had our hearts set on one outcome. Most of us have anyway. That hasn't happened. And now it looks like it's going to be the outcome that we didn't want to see. Now we're in the dark about like exactly what you're saying about what this is going to look like. Because already we're being fed that we have to take, the lesser of two evils, right? And that's a big problem because, like you said, if there is no roadmap to eventual full control or full power and a full sale from the Glazers, it's back to square one. All it meant, I remember, right, sitting outside the place we were staying at in Qatar, with the table and the chairs where we used to do World Cup morning extra or whatever it was called, right? And I remember having to react to this, and I remember reading that statement. I remember it clearly because it stuck out, and I still said, Flex, don't get carried away. This is the Glazers. This is the Glazers. And when it said possible sale, I know I always revert back to this. Possible sale, strategic alternatives. What was the term? You always, every time I go back to this, there's always
the exploration of strategic alternatives, and it's what every company used because I did a story in the Rest the other day. Another company's done basically the same thing, and it always ends with the possibility of a full transaction.
Exactly. That is just that clearly after. We're now 27th of October, so we're nearly in the November when it actually came out now anyway. So but after pretty much a whole year, that clearly, like you just said, is the just throwaway kind of comment of jargon / terminology to just put that in there. So it's also an added option, but it's not a viable option. It's not what we're looking for at all. They had no intentions of selling this football club at all. That instead, when it was Elliott Hedge Fund could help them, Americans coming in, give them a little bit of money, give them a little pledge. It was that businessman who went on United Stand. He wasn't serious, but whatever his name was, can't remember. Stupid. Not Michael
Ziliakis, wasn't it?
That's it. Ziliakis, yeah. Whether it was that, and then they just kept Qatar there with a full, they've put full sale in there. We may as well go for it. Let's see how far they'll go. And they've been there for 5 bids. And now, essentially, the bit where it said minority investment, was that a term?
Well, I think they probably used every term.
Whatever term it was, they have secured minority investment. That's all that's happened. Now, the only caveat to that is, and that's what Owen's talking about and why we're so annoyed as fans, is securing minority investment, but there's this pathway to eventually selling within a certain amount of time all of your shares. And that is the bit where I would not be confident of that happening at all, because as we've just seen, they are liars, they are schemers. They didn't want to sell, had no intention of selling. They've led us down the garden path, and essentially they've let somebody else. They're going to let somebody else come in, which is exactly why we didn't want minority investment. Let them spend the money on, a little bit of lick of paint, stitch the roof so that a little bit of water stops leaking, build a new porter cabin at the training ground, or improve the academy side of it like they've just done. I've seen that from when it was built to now. Make minor improvements, but not the major improvements we need that the Glazers don't have to pay for. They get to just sit there and do what they've always done. And on top of that, if it does go shit, i.e. if Sir Jim Ratcliffe comes in, wants to get rid of Richard Arnold, which we'll talk about in a little bit, wants to change up a few things. And, when it does go shit, again, because it still isn't a full takeover, the Glazers are still there. They still have major voting powers or major influence of what's going on. Blame Sir Jim Ratcliffe, mate. Not us, him.
But this is what's weird with that as well. Even the idea that Ineos would come in and because this is what I didn't understand. When the report said, Ineos are looking at stadium expansion plans and Ineos are looking at this, that, and the other. But if you're a 25% owner of a business, why would you spend all that money on a stadium that That's you don't even know. You know what I mean?
Make
That
sense.
doesn't make any sense.
And why would you still do this if you've got no path to the full control? Which is what you're saying.
Unless there would be a pathway to a full takeover, which is what he wants. So I'm not saying, by the way, I think that, or in a way, like this, like delay or whatever, it's a good thing. They shouldn't rush into this if they don't think what they need or what they want is in there. They've overpaid massively for a small fraction of the club, 25%, but still they've overpaid for it in terms of 1.25, 1.5 billion, whatever it is, maybe even more than that. So they're right to delay. My concern now is that, like, how are we going to get past this point? Because we have to remember, any deal that goes to the board of directors, again, the Glazers will have the final say on that deal as well, in terms of it being voted around too. You know, because how many of them are on the board? They're still the majority. They still got the majority voting power at the club right now as it stands. So any deal that gets ratified is a deal that they're happy with, that they're comfortable with. And if there's any element of, you know, we don't have the final say on this, that, and the other, then I just think they'll be like, no, we're not gonna vote on it. You know what I mean? So it always felt strange, didn't it, that when all this stuff came out like 10 days ago or whatever, they were like, yeah, Thursday's getting voted on. Like, it's done. Like, the initial reaction to all that was, that's quick. Like, you know what I mean? That's quick. I know you got a deal agreed in principle, but that seems very fast. And all of these questions, and I remember at the time just saying some of these questions, and the responses, why are you so anti Sir Jim? Why are you anti all of this? And it was like, again, can't stress it enough. It's not necessarily being anti any one person. As I said earlier on, I know obviously initially they can't come out and all this kind of stuff and say it confidentiality. But if it did come out that they've agreed to these put and call options at this point, and they've, you know, got these negotiation windows where they're going to be, you know, trying to buy the shares, and they've already agreed it with these people that they're going to help fund to buy these shares, you'd go, you know what? It's not ideal, but that's more than we had 18 months ago. I can get on board with that. Effective sporting control. You go, okay, what does that look like? What do you mean in terms of effective, and how much power how much totality how much totality power do you have over the sporting stuff? But then if it does come out like, actually, no, written down black and white, he's got the final say, you can go, great. Like, we can get behind that, because change is afoot, they would say, right? But until that happens, I think you have to be naturally skeptical, because I think if you're not, then you're putting a lot of blind faith into people that have led us into the situation that we are in right now.
Yeah,
and I don't know where that trust comes from. I mean, that really is opium. You know what I mean?
When this has happened, right? Because like I said, I know I just said it, they had no intent of selling. Let's not get this twisted of what's just happened to Man United fans in the last year. We have been absolutely done up like kippers, like all on board, full sale, you know, campaigning and protesting, and, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, a lot of us want Qatar or at least a full sale, and they've just done us up like kippers. Like they literally made Man United fans believe, yeah, me included, we all part of this, yeah, that it was even worth it. It was even worth it getting behind, not just Qatar, by the way, because some people wanted Sir Jim full sale. Just getting behind a full sale, because I think it's gone way past. It's not Sheikh Jassim now. Like we said, Man United doesn't have to have the richest owners there has ever been in mankind. Man United doesn't need that. Man United does actually just need somebody who cares, somebody who has a structure. Yeah, because essentially all the rest will fall into place. If it's someone who cares, the footballing structure will change, the Glazers will go, and the investment needed will come. It doesn't need a bottomless pit of money. Obviously, that's a bonus. But I don't know a team, or a club, should I say, that can be as crap as Man United have been for 10 years straight, yeah? Nowhere near a title, nowhere near major honors in 10 years, right? And still make the revenue that we've made, still spend the money that our football club, our institution has generated, and still be this bad. The reason why is because that shows you, that in itself shows you how big of a club Man United still is. It's getting worse and it is dwindling. Hence why it got to a point where the Glazers are like, money's run out, sort of thing. You know, we saw at a stretch when it was January, Wout Weghorst, when it was January, Sabitzer hanging on, Sofian Amrabat, last day of the transfer window, got to get him on a loan, then try and, you know what I mean? We've seen emergency loans. We've seen the money diminish, the stadium rotting, you know, the roof leaking, training ground, women's team, academy. We've seen us fall behind all these things, but we've still managed to spend big on transfers up until recently. So that shows you that the owner that eventually does own Man United, which if it's going to be Sir Jim Ratcliffe in totality, then it's going to be him. But it's not necessarily about, it's not the Qatari. So now that nobody can do a good job at coming in and being the owners of Man United. No, it just needs to not be the Glazers. It's as simple as that. I know it's you know the grass isn't always greener, and you know the new owners could be just like the Glazers. So of course, if you get like for like, then of course we're still going to be shit. But if you just have someone who cares about the football club and has a certain level of investment on top of what Man United makes, with a proper structure that is going to help us and act like a big football club, even that would be enough. Even that. And that is where they've led us completely down the garden path, because they ain't going anywhere. And I sound proper negative on that. And I still, because I stick by what I said when I was saying it with KG in Las Vegas, when he was like, they have to sell now. They're never going to get a better chance. A couple months later, Sir Jim Ratcliffe's not at the table anymore because they don't care.
Yeah, I mean, again, like the way that I've looked at it is for this whole the Ratcliffe part of this now. And to be honest, the whole way through this process, I've said that obviously people had their preferred options, but for me, I could care less really where the money came from or who actually won, as long as the Glazers weren't involved at the end of it. And even in this scenario, as I said before, even if it came out right, it's been ratified, he's got 25%, but by 2026 or 7, there's a realistic possibility they might not be there. I go, you know what? It's a lot of time, but I'm willing to do the time, basically. You know what I mean? Hope we'll get there. That's hope. That's light at the end of the tunnel. Just to come out of this process with realistically no light at the end of the tunnel is concerning. And again, I have questions. Now got the number in front of me. The Athletic says buried within the decks of presentations for investors, is back in March when they were presented to the bidders, United stated they would pass £1 billion in revenue by the end of the financial year for 2027. For example, here, the club's revenue came in at £583.2 million in 2022, £494.1 million in 2021. Yesterday, they released their accounts for the last financial year, and they projected revenues for between £650 million and £680 million for the fiscal year to June 2024. But they're still saying, but the point being is, even though their highest projection by June 2024 is £680 million in terms of projected revenue, they're saying in 3 years' time, it's going to be over £1 billion.
Yeah.
So again, their current value right now today will not be the same as it will be in 3 years' time. It's going to be way, way higher. So even now, those points of like, okay, we're buying 25% now. If we want to get to 100 or just want to get to all of the Glazers shares, it will be more expensive than what they've got in place now. So again, what does that look like? How is that going to work?
Looks like what it looks like now. They're almost pricing themselves out of being able to sell because they don't want to sell. I.e., we're only going to sell for a stupid amount of what the club isn't worth, which no one's going to pay. So we've got to stay. That's it. That's literally what they've just done to Sheikh Jassim. He's offered 6 billion. 6 billion, right? And they don't want to sell. And they don't want to sell because they never did want to sell. Also, what we've got to think about is, right, I know these are hypotheticals, and obviously Sir Jim's in this for the long run to try and get a solution. We've said it all along. He just wants to get any deal so he can get through the door. That's what it was at the start of the Sir Jim Ratcliffe thing when he arrived, and then it became very clear that any sort of takeover bid that he was going to lodge was going to be the Glazers subsequently being part of it, i.e., they're staying in some capacity with trying to phase them out. As soon as that happened, he lost a lot of support. Because at the beginning, when he put the Manchester back in Manchester United, you know, core fans, get back to the values, when he was trying to sort of basically appeal more to British fans or UK fans or local fans, however you want to see it, his manifesto versus what the Qataris put, which apparently, you know, pissed the Glazers off, the way that they put it, which says everything, by the way. It was exactly what fans wanted to hear from the Qatari side with how they wrote their manifesto and their intentions versus Sir Jim Ratcliffe. But as soon as it became clear that Sir Jim Ratcliffe's deal was going to be either just about the majority, but the Glazers stay, and then less than the less when it was dead in the water. Remember that? Then it wasn't dead in the water because there was talks about him going to change his bid, which has now led to this. It was always going to lose, momentum when the Glazers were going to be part of it. But here's the thing now. So obviously, the latest report is saying he could walk away if he doesn't get X. If he walks away, right, then there's nobody at the table. Has anyone fathomed that it's kind of like a just as you were? Or that would lead the Glazers in terms of going back in and just looking for more, what do you call it, minority investment from America or from somewhere
I
else.
think,
They want minority investment.
Yeah,
I think clear.
Yeah, I think obviously, look, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos haven't come through this whole process just to completely wash their hands, you know what I mean, and be like, screw it, we'll walk away. They might, you never know, but I don't know if that happens.
The Glazers keep being stubborn though with what they want, you know what I mean?
But realistically, Flex, considering because of the size of United, because of the brand, because of the business and all that kind of stuff, there will always be minority investors around, whether it was Elliott or whether it's Carlisle or whether there is, I'm sure there are, hedge funds aplenty across the world, particularly in the United States, which we've seen are buying more and more and more and more into football and more into football teams. There'll be loads. There'll be, you know what I mean? I'm sure there's probably even people picking up the phone today to Rain being like, what's going on with Ineos? If that doesn't work out, we've got, $1 billion on the table for, we won't even take as much. We just want a foot in the door. And they won't even really necessarily want, complete takeover, a complete purchase. They just want to be involved. So I think I do think in that aspect, the Glazers will feel like, we still got leverage in that aspect. They've still got calls that people are interested. Certainly.
Yeah, I agree. I just massively worry now about the next step. Well, do you know what? I'm past worrying. Like, I've got no confidence that there can be a positive outcome from this. Like on one hand, you are right.
I don't know if you can go too far with that, because I do think, and this is when I do think you have to give some credit to Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos, is that they know what they want. And I don't think, look, they've compromised. Let's face it, they've compromised a lot to get to this point, because this is not what they wanted initially.
How much more can they compromise?
And I think that's probably what they'll be thinking. They'll be thinking, look, we've been willing to compromise in terms of the shareholding that we're willing to purchase, but there are some non-negotiables, and
that's the bit that worries me.
Yeah,
and that starts getting to that bit, the Glazers are capable, just like Sheikh Jassim just did in front of our very eyes with his 5th bid. There's some non-negotiables now. I'm not going higher.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Or in the sense, I'm not, unless I need this sport and control, and I need that roadmap.
Yeah, and they go, well, you need sport and control now. Well, no, we're the majority shareholders. No,
or go like, yeah, no worries, we'll give you sport and control, but we still want veto power. That's not sport and control.
That's what I'm saying, Owen. Like, I hear what you're saying, don't go too far with saying there won't be a pot. But I'm just telling you how I genuinely feel right now and going forward. I don't have any faith that there can be a resolution between Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the Glazers. That sounds incredibly negative or whatever, but that's how I feel. I've seen too much evidence of these guys not give a shit. I've seen too much evidence of these guys of when it gets down to the actual handing of the baton, whether it was to accept a world record bid, right, for Man United, didn't want to do it. And now it's going to be, all you got to do is accept a minority bid, but give away the majority of the power for somebody who only wants 25%. I can't see them doing that.
I still have massive, and this is what it's been for the last couple of weeks. I still have massive reservations and questions just how all of that is going to work. And I don't, like I said, I don't get, and maybe this is hypocritical of what I've just said, but I don't understand the blind faith. Like, don't worry, they're going to have sport and control. Why?
Yeah.
Well, the Financial Times said it. So, well, okay, cool. Like, but again, what does that What does that look like? You know, I don't think it's wrong to be asking questions about that, because we've lived through too much as a Manchester United fan to just assume all this kind of stuff, right? So I don't know. I feel like I said earlier on, I feel like it's just going to be a big stalemate now, you know. And how long does that take? Don't know. You know, this whole thing was going to be done by Easter, remember? So yeah. Not good.
Yeah, it's pathetic. It really is. Leading on from that, well, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Sin Game says, let's get 200 likes. I'll gift 5 memberships. Ooh, you heard it from Sin Games. He's set out the
Sounds like
what
a
you gotta
promise.
do.
And I tell you what,
Yeah.
we're on 172 likes. So if I can do my quick maths, Flex,
Quick
I
maths.
believe that's 28 likes, 27 now,
We're less than
27
that
likes.
now.
Less
11.
than that. So if you
11
haven't
now. We're
already
on
clicked the like
189.
button, I'd say we can
189.
get way higher anyway. You know, we've got
Yeah.
nearly 1,200 people watching.
We're
Why
at
not?
203. Sin Games, where are you?
Okay. The ball is in your
The
court.
ball is in your court. Yes,
Volleyed back
exactly.
to you. Yes.
But Sin Games says, yes, I'll give 5 memberships. Big up to you, Sin Games, getting everyone involved. Lil Yo-Yo doing the same. Tabasol doing the same. Ash Odu doing the same. Big up to all you guys. Steffi Jenks in there as well. All the mods coming through as per usual. Team Nathan says, guys, I have a question. What happens if Jim withdraws too? And that's kind of what we just spoke about. It's kind of what we just was talking about. And big up Sin Games. Big up Sin Games, staying true
Straight away.
to their
Straight
word.
away. Look at that.
Straight
Finger was
away.
waiting on the button. It was waiting like that.
Fair play, man. Fair play. Said he was going to do that, and that's what they've done. And the 5 beneficiaries are Paul Lucas. Welcome to the membership club. Danny Britton, Lamino 99, and Messi of Entertainment as well. So those are the 5 that have been gifted as well by Sin Games. So
I think actually Steffi Jenks was also gifted one, it says above it.
Oh, didn't see that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Big up Steffi Jenks as well, getting involved. So, yes, love to see that, guys. Well done. Big up the community, everyone getting involved. And if you would like to join the membership, just off your own. Go on. What's happening?
It reminded me. This is the perfect day for us, actually. This is the perfect day. Because when I wake up this morning, I'm organizing things. There are I've seen them. I can actually say this. There are a ton of UV Raws in the back end waiting to go public. Yeah, they're waiting there. They're waiting there. So if you join the UV membership now, you're going to get not only access to the back catalog, but there are going to be new episodes dropping all the time. And there is some golden footage in there that is, it's well worth a membership. So if you haven't already, now is the time to join UV Raw. It's a hidden gem here on United View. And there are, I mean, honestly, I say new episodes. I counted maybe like 7 or 8, maybe even more than that. There is loads.
Apologies, guys, but it's a big backlog. But actually, it is really good.
They're all there.
Yes, they're all there. Exactly, as Owen says. So yes, big up to everyone. Get involved in the chat, get involved in the comments, and make sure you like the video. Don't really need to spend too long on this because it is kind of, you know, if Sir Jim Ratcliffe don't even arrive here, like we've just spoke about, this could be null and void. But they're just really quickly, Owen, there was obviously a story yesterday suggesting that Richard Arnold could be in trouble, which not in trouble, which could lose his job, which we always kind of knew.
We knew this anyway. Yeah, it was quite strange. Again, the reporting surrounding it, people were saying it's a big breaking story, but I think people had just assumed that, yeah, this is going to happen, obviously, particularly if Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos get.
Sorry, there is something that is bigger than that.
What?
Justin. I mean, it's not that big, but it's bigger than this. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is back in full training.
Oh, yeah, I did see that also as well, yes. Richard Arnold is...
That's how insignificant it is. It's like Wan-Bissaka back is probably bigger.
Richard Arnold is expected to leave his role as Manchester United chief executive in the event Sir Jim Ratcliffe succeeds in his bid for minority stake. Now, obviously, if Ineos are successful, then they're going to have effective sporting control. That's what they want. Jean-Claude Blanc, the former Juventus chief executive who left a high-ranking role at Paris Saint-Germain last December to oversee the entire Ineos sport portfolio, is under consideration to replace Arnold, at least in the interim, which, again, was widely reported to. Now, if you're not familiar with who Jean-Claude Blanc is, as I mentioned, he was the former chief executive, then became the general manager at Juventus. Not so much involved in modern Juventus, the sort of scandal Juventus. So what his role was, and look, I was reading up on him yesterday. It's quite an impressive figure, certainly. His role was actually really rebuilding Juventus. So obviously when they had the scandal, was it the match fixing thing? They got relegated to Serie B. He came in after that, and his task was get them back to Serie A and make them get their revenues up, take player contracts down, etc. He also oversaw the building of their stadium, and he got them obviously back into Serie A, cut down the spending, oversaw the stadium project, and when he left Juventus, was the first season they spent inside the stadium that they won Serie A, and then obviously they went on to win it for a decade. He then went on to Paris Saint-Germain, wasn't in a role like he was as a chief executive or a general manager. He was like the chief marketing officer for Paris Saint-Germain, essentially. And they say, and I guess it's true, that he's turned Paris Saint-Germain into a very marketable big brand. Obviously, they got there, like, the kit sponsor was it Jordan and all that kind of stuff.
Mate. Oh, mate.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So he was involved in all of that. So people were looking at it and suggesting that, these the parallels would be similar. He would probably be overseeing some kind of stadium project if indeed he would come in. It'd be about getting spending down. It'd be about trying to get rid of some of the debt attached to Manchester United, which he did at Juventus, as well as you think about the marketing capabilities of Manchester United too. It could be perfect for him or anything like that. But as we said earlier on, look, we're still at a stage whereby there's a hold up because Ineos is saying we need these certain things in place. So it's all well and good having a chief executive, or at least an interim one planned, but you have to get there first, don't you? So that's part of the problem.
Yeah, I exactly that. If Jim don't even come here, then the Glazers ain't going to change a damn thing. You know what I mean? They've already just changed from, sort of Ed Woodward through to this regime now of, what's his name? Forgot his
Richard
name.
Arnold.
Yeah, not Richard Arnold, the other guy. John Murtough. Bloody hell, it just went out of my head. Going down that route, Matt Judge went. They had a little reshuffle. The Glazers have done their little, we want to do better, so here's some new people. Ed Woodward.
Well, that's what people are pointing out at the moment. They're saying that with Ineos coming in, and we're gonna really shake up the sporting side of things. People point out that actually internally, Manchester United have undergone a sporting shake-up in the last 18 to 24 months because there is a director of football now, and all these things are in place. Like I said, Matt Judge has left. They got what's his name, Hargreaves is in there now as the new negotiator. Blah blah blah. So people are like, actually, in terms of like the organization, that actually might not change that much. It might just be new people, which again, look, isn't a negative, but it's still like, in terms of revolutionary change, is it going to even be that, And certainly if the Glazers are still in control, definitely not.
No,
so
exactly. Yeah. So I wouldn't hold your breath on that. But that was the latest about Richard Arnold coming out yesterday, which me and Owen sort of said. And do you know what I mean? Nem Green, big up to you. Been a member for 1 month. Says, if the deal falls through, could there be a new round of bids? Also, Garnacho, silly boy. All these footballers should know by now what not to post. The first bit of that is, let's see. Could there be a whole? That's what I mean. They want minority investment from somewhere, don't they?
Yeah. And I think they will get it. I think they'll get it.
Exactly, they'll get it. And actually, let's get on to this Garnacho situation. So Nem Green said, "Silly boy, these footballers should know what to by now, what not to do, what not to post." Here's where I stand on this, right? Because I think that in a world where everybody, we are way better at attempting to at least, or trying to encourage people and do the right thing of speaking up against things that are wrong. Whether that's racism, whether that's homophobia, whether that's discrimination, any form of discrimination, right? So I'm always for that. But what we can't move away from is just general common sense. And if we're going to go down the road of, we can see the intent of Garnacho, right, and what he's posted with the gorilla emojis. The intent of that is not racial. And I know there's some people saying regardless of the intent, that emoji, you shouldn't use that. Or I disagree. Listen, I'm a black male. Yeah, I've experienced racism, so I'm going to speak from my point of view. Yeah, like Andre Onana says, you can't tell me what to be offended by. But if you see that and think that Garnacho means that in a negative connotation, I think the problem's with you. I'm going to be honest. I think the problem's with you. I think that you can't, if you're going to punish somebody for somebody blatantly celebrating with somebody, and I said it to Owen, I called Owen yesterday when I saw that, and I said, he definitely means that emoji as in like a King Kong, like big, powerful, top of the world, all conquering.
Top of the
That's
food
how
chain.
top of the food chain. If you ever seen Godzilla or King Kong or whatever, sorry, not Godzilla, King Kong, that's what it is. Of course, when used in a negative connotation, right, it can mean a racial slur. That's like saying if I'm messaging Owen and Owen says, "What have you had?" If I message Owen and Owen, I say, "What have you had for breakfast today?" And he says, "Oh yeah, I'm bang on my fruit 5 a day," and sends me a banana emoji. Is Owen racist?
And I do have bananas for breakfast every morning, by the way.
Right. So should Owen, do you know what I mean? So I get it. You could say, oh, Garnacho, yeah, but when you just post things on social media, though, it comes across a little bit like this. I'm sorry, the world's gone soft. If you can't use emojis that are just in the inventory, you know what I mean? What if you put the fist, the black, the weightlift, the strong emoji, and put a black one,
the bicep
one. We put the black bicep, but Garnacho's white. Can't put that. It's racist. Come on. So I am the first. Listen, guys, you know me. I am the first person to speak up against racism, yeah? And people speak about things that affect them more than other situations. That's like a natural human situation, which actually it shouldn't even be like that. We should all speak about things equally, but that's just a natural human thing. Whatever's affected you most personally, you might gravitate more towards that and spotting that and speaking out against that. So I'm speaking as someone where if I felt this was out of turn, out of context, I'd say, I don't care if it's my player or not. I'd call out racism. I don't give a shit. But come on. To want the kid to get a 1-match ban or a 2-match ban for this, I think is absolutely ridiculous. And people draw parallels to the Cavani situation, which again, he didn't mean any ill treatment by it, but the connotations were a bit different because that was surrounding language and language barriers. And we just don't say that word here. You can use the gorilla emoji. It's not racist. That's what I'm trying to say. Just depends how you use it. Well, I went on a holiday, Owen. Where'd you go on holiday? Went to safari. I went to Africa. Went on safari. What was your favorite animal? What did you see? Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I saw gorillas. What, are you racist because you use a gorilla emoji? Like, get real. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Andre Onana posted on social media yesterday saying, quote, people cannot choose what I should be offended by. I know exactly what Garnacho meant, power and strength. This matter should go no further. And like you said, look, and obviously, look, like you said, I'm not a black man, so I've never experienced racism or anything like that in my life. So it comes across to me as lots of people, I don't know, interpreting that could be offensive to them, even though, like, again, the guy, how old's Alejandro Garnacho at this point? Was he 18? 19 or something 18, like that?
19, yeah.
The real sanity should prevail in this situation. At the very most, it should be, hey, the FA, Man United, set Garnacho aside and just go, look, we know you didn't mean anything by it. It's, it's overblown. Just, remember, you got a lot of people that follow you. Just be a bit careful, mate. And even that, you would go, all right, cool. But the people sort of calling for him to be, like I said, suspended or banned or anything like that, and it almost implies, I don't know, I'm not saying that Alejandro Garnacho is a racist or anything like that, but it's one of those situations where you go, is sanity not going to prevail in this situation? Are we all sort of, as you mentioned, are we all pretending to be offended?
Exactly.
Over something that isn't
at most, offensive. At most, I'll be honest, because I do agree of education.
Be careful. Yeah. Be careful. Like I said, be careful with your words and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, you sit him down and you go, look, exactly. You've got a large following. And I think also as well, make no mistake too, if you go back and find the original post, he posts it and then clearly someone says, oh, maybe you'd be a bit careful with that. And he takes it down. He edits it straight away. So you would go again.
But the thing is, right, and this is where, like, if used in a negative connotation, it can be racist. Of course it can. I ain't moving away from that. And it's actually quite sad, right? But it is the reality. It is the reality. It's quite sad that basically you're saying that certain emojis and black people, I can say this, right? Don't go together because you're scared to use it because you're going to get called a racist. That it shouldn't be like that. That do you know what I mean? Racism should be defined as what we know racism is, which is your intent to, be against somebody of a specific color or race or religion or whatever it is, right? That is how we deem it, not by the specific emoji. Now, of course, when black people have been subjected to monkey chants and monkey symbols and being called
Vinicius
monkeys,
just the other
Vinicius,
day. Just the other day.
people in the crowd doing that. Okay,
Mm.
that is racist, but that is completely different because a monkey is still just a normal animal. Is an animal. Do you know what I mean? Monkeys, depending on what your theory of evolution is, people grew out from monkeys over years. There's a resemblance to humans. Monkeys are cute. You can go and see a little chimp in the zoo or whatever. Some people have like all of a sudden, because it's been used as a negative connotation, it's almost like the word monkey has been blacklisted. Do you know what I mean? There are ways in which you can use the word monkey or the picture or emoji monkey and it not be racist. Otherwise, we may as well wipe the word. Monkeys may as well be called something different. Then we can't, because there's no way that you can use it in a conversation with a black person because it's always going to be deemed as racist. That's insane. I'm saying that as a black man.
I think it's I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that people are conscious and people are like worried. Oh, is that offensive? Is that the right thing to say? Because that clearly that implies that there maybe has been some progression in terms of actually there are certain things maybe I shouldn't say, or there are certain ways I shouldn't phrase it. But as I mentioned, this situation at the very most should just be a conversation with Garnacho, realistically.
Yeah, that's it.
Be a bit more careful. Go to Andre Onana. Is there any problem there? No, not at all. Like,
No.
again, like it wasn't like that. Has anyone been hurt by this? Has anyone been, no, and then you say to Garnacho, hey, you're a kid. Because again, he's a kid. Like he's a teenager and he didn't even mean anything negative anyway. It's not as if it's like a massive slip up or anything like that. He didn't mean anything negatively or offensive or discriminatory to anyone. He's praising his teammate, you know what I mean? And showing
and also
unification of his teammate. And, and again, at the very most, you just say to him, hey, we can clearly see, you can clearly see that you weren't sure. So, cool. But, that's it.
Let's be honest. The saddest thing about this is if I was next to Garnacho, and he was about to post that, and this is why it is sad of basically what I'm talking about, the word just being blacklisted, even if you want to use it in a positive way, right? If I was next to him, and he was about to get flexed up, I'm just going to post this, man. Look at Andre, man. He's like King Kong. What a save. He's so powerful and strong. I'll say, maybe just don't put that. Don't just do it without the emojis. I would advise him not to, because this is what would happen. Do you know what I mean? Not because he's racist. This was happened. Magnus says, "Nah, Flex, you're wrong. Sorry." When Rashford and Sancho missed the penalties, people were posting bananas and tortillas. And again, they were meant in racist ways. They were meant in a negative connotation. That we can't take away our ability as human beings to ascertain whether something is meant or supposed to be, is used in a derogatory way or a supportive way. If Bayindir made that save the other day, and Garnacho posted the same King Kong thing, what would you think people's reaction would be? Because I think no one would say anything. Because he's Turkish.
No, I agree.
No one would say anything. If Tom Heaton made that save, and someone posted King Kong, i.e., what is it? King Kong, he's at the top of the building, and he beating his chest. I mean, top of the world, all powerful, all strong, big arm. What a save! If Tom Heaton made that save and Garnacho put King Kong, would this be happening? No. It's because of, like I said, people who have used that in the wrong way now, and I just think it's silly. I just think it's silly.
Well, I mentioned earlier on, are people sort of choosing to be offended by that? You know what I mean? As opposed to
G-Man says, but it's not Tom Heaton, Flex. look, some people are going to agree to disagree on this. That's where I stand on it.
I just
As
like I
someone
said, I think
who
at the very most it should be like an educational,
100%, guys.
lesson.
You saw, you lot saw, yeah, or a lot of you have seen. If you haven't seen, type it in. You saw that situation I had with Bill Leckie from the Scottish Sun, right? And how I deal with racism, and how when someone uses certain language or certain connotations and the intent of their language, I'll call it out. You've seen it. I've had someone who's done that to me. I've made them come and be accountable for their actions and their words. I've done it. It's right there on Unite. Well, before it was United View. Type in the flex. Type in Bill Leckie. If you think that I'm getting this wrong and maybe don't know how I respond to these situations, type that in. Bill Leckie flex. Just type that in, and you will see what my stance is on people who use wrong terminology, whether they're not cultured, whether they have unconscious or subconscious bias or racism or blatant. Like, you see what my thing is to that. So I'm not blind. I know what racism is, and I know what racism isn't. And this is not racism. That's what I will say. That's what I will say on that. So yeah, there you go. Wan-Bissaka's back.
Yes.
Don't put the spider.
Oh, you're
Don't
allowed to
put
call
the
him a
spider.
spider. That's what
And
I
it's a
mean.
black spider as well. Don't put this. Don't put this. No more spider one.
A black
No.
widow. A black widow spider. Can we call
Don't
it?
put
Can we
the
call it that
emoji.
flex? Can we call it that?
No, you can't. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is back. AWB at the most. No more spider emojis. You know, spiders sometimes are related to fear, and that's a negative connotation upon a black man. Spider. I'm scared of spiders. I don't like spiders.
Yeah.
I don't want spiders anywhere near me.
Okay.
So if I do that to Aaron Wan-Bissaka, that is a negative connotation.
Yeah. Can't.
Yeah, if we call him Booker T, can't call him Booker T now as well. He's got dreads like the Booker T, like, but no,
No.
it's not. But anyways, back.
It's quite fast, actually, wasn't it? In terms of like from overnight. I just saw the thing saying he'll be back playing in like 10 days. Oh, that was quick.
Yeah,
Good.
Yeah, it's good.
Is he our starting right back?
Yeah, he is. He is our starting right back. He is. But you know what? It's weird because obviously he's our starting right back. But if we're being honest, yeah. Now he's been out of the team for ages. We haven't been great. I'm not saying like, oh, look at Dallo, he's been amazing. No, we don't need Wan-Bissaka. I'm not saying that. But like, because of how we're playing, having Wan-Bissaka back, what impact do you think that has on the team? Like, positively. Like, I know, like, he's good in, like, will we play better? Will we play better like, by having just him back? Is it not like, is it just a step in the right direction? At least he's back. You just say it like that, or can there be something that can instantly change? Would we attack better? Would we get more cross in the box? Would we concede less? Like what? I'm just asking. Like what would?
Does it make us? Does it make us better in bigger games against better teams?
Yes. So like on Sunday, if Doku starts on the right, it would make us better if Wan-Bissaka was there.
I'll put a poll in the chat. I know we ain't got long left, but I'll put a poll in the chat. If Wan-Bissaka and Dallo were both available Sunday, who would start? Now, if I was voting in said poll, I would say every day of the week, it will be Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka? You can use that in the future. Wan-Bissaka would start every single time. And so maybe you could say with other big games coming up, if he's available, maybe
I'm more confident.
I'll put the poll in the chat.
Here's a question for you. Obviously, Eric Ten Hag's original plan, right, was to have Diogo Dallo, pick up Paulo Diogo Dallo. Need to message him actually. Diogo Dallo as part of his starting team. That was the plan. Gave him a new deal as well, 5-year deal with an extra one or whatever it was. Yeah, Dallo got a big bumper deal. Yeah. Then after the World Cup, obviously it changed because he was injured. Then Wan-Bissaka forced it. My question to you, Owen, and to everyone at home in the chat is: do you think Ten Hag might use this as a chance to say, "Let me try and persist with Dallo because that's eventually what I want, to let everyone come back and Dallo be the main guy"? Now that this injury's come at a time where I could play Dallo game in, game out, or do you think he'll just go straight back to Wan-Bissaka?
Look, because
See what I
Dallow's
mean?
done all right.
He
Dallow's
hasn't
done
done
okay.
shit.
He's done okay. But
All
I
right.
still think push come to shove, big game, both are available, both are fit, ready to go. He plays Wan-Bissaka because he's seen
Yeah.
it.
He's
We
seen
play
it. Yeah.
Brighton away. He plays him against Matoma. We
Mm.
play whoever, whatever big team that you can think of that's got a decent wide
But
player
then
on the
only the
left.
big teams. So what,
He could play.
all the rest of the teams, are you just going to play
I
Dalot then?
well, this is part of the problem. I still say both of them we could do way better. Like they're not for me the final answer to that right back position. The problem is Dalot signed a long-term contract, and by all accounts, they might give a new one to Wan-Bissaka. I still say, look, they're great, and they've both got their two aspects of them, but we're still trying to find the combination of them both, aren't we?
Yeah, we said we want better than both.
we can still do way better, and again, it's not even like a disservice to them. But you do wonder, like looking at both of them at right back, and you think high aspirations in the future. You know, you're going to win things consistently with both of them. I don't know.
Yeah. Glenny Boy says there was 4 people in the photo. We're assuming it was aimed at one person. Also, the people complaining are all rival fans, so motives have to be questioned. I don't, not to go back to that, but just really quickly, it wasn't all rival fans. I see a lot of Man United fans saying, no, not you shouldn't do that, etc., etc. Nam Green says a ban. No, that's ridiculous. As someone who has suffered with racism, this is far from. Just be careful with what you post in today's world. And Stephen says, is a white person going to make that decision ridiculous? If it is, Arts Flex, Ian Wright, John Barnes. Is a white person going to make that decision? Because basically you're saying, Stephen, that if a white person is going to make a decision that it's not offensive, ask people like John Barnes, because John Barnes, literally infamously got banana skins thrown at him. Look, I don't know. I've said what I've said about how I feel about that.
I think he's saying that basically is like, who's interpreting that offence? Is it, for instance, the FA who?
Oh, right,
had a bit of a diversity issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
what panel is determining whether that is a bannable offence? Sort of thing.
I stand corrected, bro. Yeah, thanks for that. Owen. Now I get what you mean. I didn't really mean that. Get what you meant, but you're basically saying if a white person is going to say that this is offensive, ask people who it actually affects, which
or people that have experienced that. For instance, like John Barnes, like said, infamously has experienced it. You know what I mean? Maybe they should ask those people of, what do you interpret this to be, or something like that.
Exactly. So big up for that, Stephen. I get what you mean. Sin Games, not Sin Bins, Sin Games. Don't want to sin bin you there, Sin Games. Sin Games says what people never seen and never. Wow, there you go. Anyway, come to the end of the show. Oh shit, press conference today.
Yes.
Today. 1:30, I saw. So we will be live for that, me and Owen. Or shall I say Owen and me, because I'm his sidekick when it comes to the presses. I like doing that actually, so I can just react and just I quite like doing that.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get some good news. More players back. And on the way out, Red Devils Down Under, big member for 5 months, says, I remember Cavani had that post and a subsequent ban, but he used the racist term in his native tongue without knowing. Yeah, it was a bit different. But yeah, loads coming up on the channel. Smash the like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and we'll see you this afternoon for the presser, hopefully with some good information, some positive information, a positive pressure, not the journo saying Jadon Sancho back yet. Which we saw that
That'll be one.
We saw Laurie said that you got to bring a lunchbox over to there. Eric, how is that relationship with you and Jadon? And can it be rectified? We will
said everything I need to say. And I said everything's been said.
Exactly. Anyway, guys, see you this afternoon. We're out of here. Take care. Peace.